With this now, we would request Team Ingram Micro to offer their presentations. We have 4 leaders from Ingram Micro, the #1 technology distributor in the country. Mr. Santanu Bhaumik, Head Professional Services, Ingram Micro. Mr. Niloy Biswas, Head Cybersecurity Practice, Ingram Micro. Mr. Siddharth Emma, Senior Consultant, Cybersecurity Services, Ingram Micro. And Mr. Himanshu Rastogi, Consultant, Cybersecurity Services, Ingram Micro.
Now I would request Mr. Shantanu Bhaumik, Head of Professional Services, Ingram Micro, to give the overview of Ingram Micro and the perspective into cybersecurity.
Thank you, Deepakji, and thanks for giving us this wonderful opportunity to speak to this esteemed audience of our partners, industry friends, colleagues, and all of you. Thank you very much. This is Shantanu Bhaumik. I head professional services for Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro probably does not need so much of introduction for most of you because we are a global leader in technology and supply chain services with a revenue of close to $50 billion. We work with more than 200,000 customers and 1,700 vendors and OEMs. We operate in more than 64 countries with 35,000 plus associates. In India, we are operating since 1996 with a close to $3.6 billion of revenue. And we are proud to say that we are India's #1 technology and solutions company. And we have over 2,000 associates working for us in India. The way we are organized our business in India and globally is our business units. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So we have core IT, which is our commercial solutions for products such as desktop, laptops, and many more end user devices. We have advanced solution where we provide solution and technology and support and services for complex technology domain products such as data center products, server storage, networking, cybersecurity products, enterprise software, and services around them. We have cloud business unit, which is popularly known as Ingram Micro Cloud Blue. It's a global business unit where we provide solutions and product and services around all the renowned cloud technology providers such as AWS, Azure, and many more. We have mobility division, which primarily handles all the mobility products such as Apple, Samsung, and many more with wearables. And we also have our IoT solution and services within this division. And last but not the least, we have professional services where we handle all the pre-sales, post-sales, consulting, advisory, managed services, support services across all these business units. So in today's session, we will speak a little bit more about professional services, how we are organized, how our initiatives and offerings are going to benefit you. And me and my team will take you through some of those, especially focused around cybersecurity and the trends in cybersecurity solutions and services. So what do we do in professional services? If you see the overall gamut of professional services starts from assessment, we provide the pre-sale services, design, the bill of material and proof of concept and all those associated services. We provide deployment services. We provide managed and support services. We also provide training and education services, which I'll speak a little bit more. And we also provide IT asset disposal and other services. And we cover all these services for all the major brands, as you see on the screen, for compute, network, security, storage, and enterprise software brands. And these are not the only brands, but these are the major brands that we have captured here. The way we have organized the entire professional services is in 3 service lines. One is our core infrastructure services, then we have our education and training services, and our cybersecurity services. So we'll talk more about all of this. The core infrastructure services is basically taking care of all the services around enterprise infrastructure services requirements that our customers will be having. And we fulfill these services either directly or through our partner ecosystem. And we cover the entire gamut of implementation, assessment, migration, automation, and support services across 4 areas, which are infrastructure, which takes care of compute, storage, backup, network, etc. Then we have our cloud services, which are AWS, Azure, and hybrid clouds, and so on. We have our software application services around major software technologies coming from IBM, Microsoft, UiPath, Red Hat, and many more. And we have the digital services for new and upcoming services such as chatbots, RPAs, procure to pay, and many more services. We have a robust cloud services, which starts with assessment and migration, cost optimization, and performance improvements. And this is across all the major cloud service providers such as AWS and Azure. Moving on to a very interesting service line, which is education and training services. This is a global service offering from Ingram Micro. We are one of the top training provider for many of the industry technologies, and we have a solid tie-up with all the leading brands such as Cisco, Citrix, Hewlett Packard, IBM, Juniper, and many of them. So you can see some of those brands on the screen. We provide training and education services to end customers through our partners or directly for a huge number of trainings catalogs. You can see 15,000 plus. And these trainings can be virtual instruction-led trainings. It can be on-site, customized, or it can be online. All modules or modes of training provision is available. And last but not the least, we have cybersecurity services, and we realize the importance of cybersecurity for everyone. In fact, today's session that VAR India has organized is on cybersecurity and data summit, and it's on top recall for any CIO and CXO that how to have a incident-free service delivered to its customers. So what we have organized our cybersecurity services again in 3 lines of services. We have Smart Assure services, which are basically services around testing, assessment, and so on. We have Smart Secure services, which are basically around deployment, integration, configuration for technology products, and basically building the ecosystem. And we have Smart Protect services, which is basically supporting this ecosystem management and ongoing support. So my team of cybersecurity consultants and cybersecurity experts of Ingram Micro will take you through all these facets of cybersecurity offerings and how we can help you in this journey. So thank you very much, and I hand over to my team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shantanu, for sharing wonderful insights into cybersecurity. Undoubtedly, Ingram Micro offers umbrella of services, including solutions for securing the cyber world. Thank you, Shantanu. I would request Mr. Nilay Biswas, Head of Cybersecurity Practice, Ingram Micro, to share his presentation.
Hi, good morning, Deepakji. Thank you for the quick introduction. Let me quickly introduce myself. I've been into services for the last 25 years, and out of which 15 years I have worked on cybersecurity initiatives. My role in Ingram is to head the practice of cybersecurity in India, right? What I will do is I'll quickly share my screen and take you through the various initiatives that we have as part of our cybersecurity portfolio. So primarily, like how Shantanu shared, cybersecurity services for Ingram is primarily structured into three buckets, which is Smart Assure, Smart Secure, and Smart Protect. Basically, the structure is very much from a point of view of preventive, detective, and mitigation from that point of view. So the managed services part is taken care by the Protect initiative. The deployment parts are taken care by the Smart Secure initiative, and the assessment part is taken care by the Smart Assure initiative. Okay, that's the way that we have structured. Now, from a cyber maturity assessments point of view, the program that we run is a holistic program that we have, which covers the other areas of assessment, which covers the cyber risk assessment, the compliance assessments, training and awareness, technical assessments that we do in terms of VAPT and other areas, including web PT, mobile PT, IoTs, and all those things. We do cyber drills, phishing simulations, SOC reviews, as well as Azure services. Now, we already have a published set of services in the Azure, which kind of helps you to mature your cloud offerings or cloud-based deployments on Azure to the next level of cybersecurity. That's the offering that we have under the Smart Assure services. As far as Smart Secure services goes, we have strategic engagements with the OEMs, where we have, for example, some of the OEMs that you can actually see as a part of the slide, right? McAfee, Checkpoint, Cisco. They are our key OEMs where we have a end-to-end services offering from pre-sales and post-sales, as well as solutioning, architecting, everything, end-to-end gamut. Even though we have those services, we can implement technologies which are related to all of these OEMs that we directly have a tie-up with. We are absolutely agnostic to any OEMs, which means that if you are not able to see an OEM over here, but we still hold the capability to design and deploy services of those OEMs as well. Okay, so we cover all the market leaders in terms of technology for any solution that we need to implement. And this can be a point of time solution. For example, it may be a network security solution or an endpoint solution, or it can be a holistic deployment of multiple solutions, right? So we can create an entire ecosystem and framework of solution, and we can integrate them with each other and also manage that with our SOAR and SIM solution. Again, we cover all the major OEMs over here as well. For example, if it is IBM or if it is HP, so Micro Focus, we have those coverage as well for all the OEMs. And as a part of the Smart Protect, we have a host of managed services products. We have got reactive services where we provide end-to-end incident management framework, where we take care of end-to-end incidents for any particular device, whether it's an enterprise class device, security devices, or whether it is a network device or data security device. So we can take care end-to-end for reactive managed services, where we can actually do a incident management right from a level 1 to level 3. Where it helps is you do not have to build inbuilt capability for your in-house teams. Okay, we can provide and augment those capabilities for you, right? So that is what we do. We also have our dedicated model to host devices. We have a device management capability. We can actually onboard your devices, and we can do a 24/7 management of the devices, right? So these are the things that we provide as a part of the Smart Protect services. The entire portfolio team is backed up by very strong pre-sales, consulting, and architecting capabilities. And you can see the kind of OEM certifications that we bear for the various OEMs that we support. Okay, and the industry standard certifications that we have. I will take a quick minute to also introduce a couple of in-house tools that we have in Ingram Micro. One is Cybergram and one is Ingram Micro Eyesight, which actually helps you or helps the customer to understand the overall view of how depth or mature the cybersecurity portfolio that they have, and to immediately find what is the kind of risk which their environment has, in terms of any exposure from a data security point of view. Okay. Now, with this, I would hand it over to Siddharth, who is going to talk specifically about our agenda today, which comprises of digital fraud, right? and he will actually take you through the various areas, and the rest of our consultants will also take you through our various areas of preventive, detective, and mitigating digital fraud, and the solutions that we have to kind of help you or help the customers to achieve that particular goal. So thank you, and over to Siddharth.
Thank you, Niloy, for enlightening us for various initiatives of Ingram Micro.
Thank you.
Now, with this, now I request Mr. Siddharth Alma, Senior Consultant Cybersecurity, Ingram Micro, to share his presentation.
Thank you, Deepakji. Thank you, Niloy. Now, so as the pandemic has led to the adoption of remote work, working for many organizations, uh, it has also increased the attack surface for hackers globally. Now, this oversized shift adopted by organizations would have helped them with continued operations, but security failures have been a continuous challenge for many. Now, here I'm not referring to large enterprises who led to the who had to revamp their infrastructure due to the pandemic, but also to retail outlets and small businesses who had to adopt to this technological shift. Now, as you can see on the screen, there are some data highlights which I've picked up from the Global Risk Report released by World Economic Forum. And as you can see on the screen on the left hand side, the amongst the top 10 top 10 risks that have been reported post the pandemic, cybersecurity lies in the top 10 risks that have been reported. Now, over the past 2 years, since the pandemic has actually has set in, there's been 95% cybersecurity reports. I mean, issues that have been reported is due to human error. There has been approximately 435% percent rise in ransomware attacks since 2020. And if I talk about the next 2 years, what the projections are, or what how people look at it, the research firms look at it, cybersecurity threats are going to worsen even more. So, what I would like to share is that the, due to this transformation, that shift that the companies have made, uh, cybersecurity has been an afterthought, due to which there has been patchwork that has been done by organization in terms to fill in the cybersecurity gaps. And if I talk about digital frauds, among this impacted, cyber crimes that have been happening, digital fraud is amongst the most number of incidents that have happened. Now, if I talk about numbers since 2020, approximately 47 lakh cases of identity theft and fraud cases have been reported, out of which 46% is only pertaining to digital fraud. Now, if I looked onto the subsequent slide, there are many cases that have actually been, there are frauds that have impacting, not just one particular area. If we move on to the next slide, there's these frauds are not just impacting one particular area. Recently I was reading an article wherein I read a case where a cyber criminal cloned the voice of a company director to authorize a transfer of approximately $35 million to fraudulent accounts. So, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that the impact is not just the organization; it's basically the individuals, the retail stores, the coffee shops, and I must say even the politicians are not being spared. And these are some examples of digital fraud. Now, if you move ahead, please. Now, if I take example of large, medium, and small enterprises, detection of fraud is an important thing for all of them. But what's more important is to have a protocol or a mechanism for detecting such frauds, so that these organizations can effectively tackle these they can tackle their way uh, through crisis situation. But the challenge is that many organizations, they lack a robust risk management framework. So that's what I want to portray is that the first preventive measure that an organization should have is a robust risk management framework. Now, if I say about risk management framework, there are certain parameters, there are certain aspects of building a holistic risk management framework. Whether we talk about the risk strategy or the risk objective, say an objective as simple as, since most of the companies have moved their operations to cloud now, a simple objective can be, suppose, to provide a secure, reliable cloud stack storage organization wide, and to authorize third parties with an assurance that the platform is appropriate to process sensitive information. As simple as that. Moving ahead, if we talk about the risk appetite, now the companies need to be sure what the risk appetite is. How much are they willing to take? How much, suppose if we take an example of uh, an individual may be comfortable taking a health risk, but may be extremely adverse to taking a financial risk, right? Moving ahead, if we talk about the risk profile, now extremely important area where we need to understand that what are the critical information and what is the sensitivity of that information, what is the confidentiality of the information, profiling that in a systematic manner. Tomorrow, if that information or that asset is compromised, what kind of impact it might cause? Maybe it might be a financial impact, it might be a legal impact, it might cause a reputational impact, or maybe even a regulatory impact. So the right profiling has to be done. Then, if we talk about risk processes, a very critical aspect of risk management framework is to basically conduct a risk assessment, a cyber risk assessment exercise. And as part of this exercise, what is more important is to identify what are the key crown jewels within the company. Then understand what are the threats that can impact those crown jewels. Look at the impact, whether now, irrespective of the fact whether you follow a standard or a framework belonging to the NIST family or from the ISO family, whether you do a quantitative risk assessment, whether you do a qualitative risk assessment, the identifying the crown jewel and identifying the right kind of threats is very important. Only then you will be able to implement or implement the right kind of control associated to that particular threat. Then moving on to the strategy, moving on to the framework, if we say having an internal and external communication strategy, the stakeholders in the company, whether it's the board of directors, whether it's external authorities, regulatory authorities, there has to be a proper communication strategy where you can communicate, where you can tell them, see, these are the risks, this is how, these are the risks which we can mitigate, this is the risk which we can accept, basis which an educated or informed decision can be taken by an organization. Then if I talk about tools, there are various tools in the market. I'm not here to propagate a particular tool that you should adopt, but yes, automation of a risk management process can definitely help and ease the entire exercise. And last but not the least, as I spoke about in my previous slide, that 95% of the errors, cybersecurity failures that have happened is because of human error. So the people in the organization have to adopt this risk management framework to the T. I mean, the businesses should have the right kind of skill where they can actually detect, they can actually analyze the risk that is going to happen or that is prevalent with respect to their assets or information that they are managing. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that if we are looking at avoiding or mitigating these digital frauds, the most important thing is to have a robust risk management framework through which we can implement preventive steps. I'm not saying security is 100% or assured thing, but definitely the impact can be reduced drastically. Moving forward, there's another key issue. The challenge that digital frauds, due to which the digital frauds are caused, is due to vulnerable systems. Now, within a company, we see most of the companies, whether it's uh, a small business enterprise or a small business company, or it's an enterprise level organization, everybody is into doing a traditional VAPT. The exercises that we identify few assets, critical assets, then we engage external party. They will do the exercise, use certain tools, and then they give you a report. Now, the entire essence of the report is that lacks dynamism. That particular report is only fixated, or the report or the vulnerabilities or the mitigation steps are only specific to those limited set of assets or the critical aspects or the critical applications that we have selected. In parallel, what I'm projecting here, what I want to propose is that a hybrid mode of technical drills and VAPT exercise should be done, wherein you carry out a red team assessment as well, which is more holistic in nature, which actually looks at um, looks at your infrastructure or the organization from a hacker's view. Here maybe when we do a red team assessment, it is basically the reconnaissance piece is done similar to what a hacker would do. A hacker might not directly, loop onto your critical application at the very first step. He is just looking for a loophole that can be found in some non-critical application as well. So the basic, aspect what I want to communicate is that technical drills and assessments should be done in a hybrid mode, not just traditional VAPTs. The times have changed. A holistic view of assessing your entire infrastructure is quite important, which will basically highlight those vulnerabilities which get exploited in terms of, whether it's digital fraud, whether it's cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. So these are some initial, preventive steps which we can help to reduce the impact from the assessment perspective, from a risk management perspective. But now, moving forward, we will be talking about a little more on the technology part in terms of how and what kind of technology can be used to detect these risks to avoid digital threats. Now, I would request Manshu to take over, and he can take you through those slides.
Thanks, Siddharth. You are correct. There is a huge growth in the digital fraud, and you have rightly said that detection of a fraud is important for the organization. I am sure the Ingram Micro team, which has the largest portfolio of starting from hardware to software to services, has geared to serve the need of the industry. Thank you very much, Siddharth, again. So now I request Mr. Himanshu Rastogi, Consultant Cybersecurity Service of Ingram Micro, to share his vision and his presentation.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. So before moving to the digital fraud specific to the enterprises, first we need to understand the analogy of any digital fraud. So fraudster need to get the access of the system either through the vulnerability or by installing a code or a software into the enterprise zone system, or could be the application to penetrate into the organization network. So in the previous slide, Siddharth has already covered the attacks based on vulnerability or anomalies with their remediation steps. So let's move to the fraud executed through the code insertion or software installation. As we all know that majority of organizations are already using best of the breed products, but still they are being affected by the cyber frauds on daily basis. It has been stated by the regulatories that more than 70% of the frauds are happening just because of the user unawareness, or could be the frauds which are being caused by the organization resources, which can be the current resources or could be the previous or the ex-employees of the organization. Now moving to the digital fraud vector example. So phishing links or email bombing is one of it, in which fraudster used to send scripts through email with phishing links or code. Most of the time, these phishing emails look very legitimate, due to which employees proceeded the entire process of the code injection. Second way to penetrate the organization network is by the help of malware, virus, or could be the ransomware, which can be executed on the millions of systems at the same time. So WannaCry and Petya were the best known example of that. Last but not the least, getting access to the corporate devices that can be provided to the fraudster by direct employees unwillingly. Salami attack is a great example of it, in which the fraudster penetrated in the bank system, where attackers have initiated a very small amount of transaction in pennies from thousands or millions of accounts for a subsequent days, or could be the weeks. Just because of the size of transaction, none of the user has noticed it as a fraud. After many attempts, it termed it as salami attack, means attack into the slices. Okay, now we will look on the detection and mitigation techniques of these particular vectors. So phishing and email bombing can be mitigating through clean mail services. Okay, where by deploying many mail scanning and zero-day prevention system can actually stops all the unwanted mails which are coming to the organization. That can be uh, purchased by the organization, but we can also get these services directly from the service providers. So to mitigate the vectors which are coming as a virus or malware or could be the ransomware, that can be detected and mitigated through zero-day prevention system, which not only provides the protection from signature-based attack, but also prevents the insertion of a known infection, which may further leads to the fraud. And last but not the least, unauthorized access to the system can be detected by the zero trust network access solution, that is also termed as ZTNA nowadays. And we can mitigate the possibility of fraudster entry by providing a specific authorization right to each and every user as well as to the administrator, and where we can actually limit the entry of any of the unauthorized access user into our system. And I will touch down few use cases related to the ransomware as ZTNA in next slides. So now organizations are already using few fraud blocking techniques with the help of following solutions. So next generation firewall or proxy can prevent the connection from bad IPs and malicious country at the parameter, which actually limits the attack vector, because it has been noticed that most of the attacks are already being done from the known bad IPs. Okay, so and cloud proxy solutions can prevent the personal activities of official assets on official assets, which also limits the fraud vectors. In COVID, we have seen that organizations are providing access to their application through BYOD devices. Organization can't secure each and every BYOD device, but they can secure the medium of communication with the help of technology, which we term it as remote browser isolation integration. So where we actually limit or we actually provide a remote browser to each and every user. With the help of it, if any of the solution or if any of the machine which is already get infected, the infection should not be forwarded to the enterprise network. Last but not the least, we all use to access our mails or application through our mobiles, and if any of the mobile get infected, that can lead to the transfer of infection into the organization network. Or most of the organization are only deploying MDM solution into the organization, but many of the solution are not looking upon the mobile security solution. So mobile security is the solution where we are actually deploying a antivirus, or we can say that the zero-day prevention system for our mobile network, so that we can limit the entry of intruder through the mobile devices. Now, if I will talk about the use cases related to the mitigation techniques. In anti-ransomware solution, where organization can limit the fraudster to enter into the system through any of the means, that can be through the perimeter, that can be through our endpoint, or could be the email, or could be the cloud solution. So the challenges which has been seen from the organization perspective, that they want to prevent the entry of ransomware by entering into their network. Okay, and the operating system, now the organizations are using all the kind of operating system into the organization, not limited to Windows or Mac, but most of the servers are actually deployed on the Linux as well. And just because of the entry of cloud, now organizations are also being the part of organizations are already having their data center on premises, but they are also moving their critical applications over the cloud just to provide the access to each and every user. So we can actually achieve the following thing through by deploying the anti-ransomware solution. So anti-ransomware solution automatically blocks external threats from successfully breaching the network. Protection against zero-day attack before even executing into the network by the process of sandboxing. We can actually improve the speed or efficiency in detecting and responding of the attacks, and we can actually safeguard our assets and workload. So now here, what we are actually doing, we are actually safeguarding our entire infrastructure. And just because of that, if any of the fraudsters want to get an access into our system, then they will not be able to do it. And we will also get a full visibility on the comprehensive data into the unified monitoring. Now, moving to the next use case, that is regarding the zero trust network access. So now, as it has been stated that more than 95% of attacks or the frauds which are happening into the organization are just because of the user unawareness, or could be the misconfiguration, or could be by providing the unauthorized access. Okay, so now the solution which can help to prevent zero trust network access or which can prevent the entry of users just because of those particular unauthorized access devices could be the combination of the solutions such as next generation firewall, XDR, which can actually prevent the entry of intruders through email or endpoint, SASE, which actually helps the organization to safeguard their cloud infra, or and SOAR, just to integrate all the solution into the single pane of glass. Okay, so again, that operating system could be anyone, and the infra can be any wherever it is, because now the organizations are working through home. Okay, so the geography is actually we cannot control the geography of all the users. So the achievement which we can get through the zero trust network access is first is cloud delivery, which actually offers us the infinite scale and performance, and it also provides the seamless connectivity of all the users for whatever the device which they are using. They can also use their company-owned devices, they can also use their BYOD devices, or they can access the application wherever it is, and they will get the access as per the authorization policy which has been created by the administrator. And we are actually integrating the ATP with ZTNA just to provide just to stop all the web-based attacks, or could be just to provide a single or preventive. Okay, so by integrating advanced threat prevention, we are actually providing a safe or a attack-free surface to all the organization. And then by integrating our integrated SaaS security, we are actually providing the DLP on the data center as well as over the cloud as well, by integrating it with the CASB solution, where actually we are doing the discovery of the data, and we are creating the compliances, and we are assuring that none of the critical data should be flow through the organization from any of the means. And in ZTNA, just to safeguard our BYOD devices, we can integrate the remote browser isolation solution to all the users, so that from whatever the device which they can access, they can get through it through the application in a secure manner. And just to onboard or for the deployment, each and everything can be monitored from a single pane of glass. So after that, now Suhas will end up the things by introducing the managed services, which can help us to limit the surface of fraudster, and which can also help the organization to limit the digital fraud through our managed services. Thank you.
So you are absolutely correct, Himanshu. I would say Ingram Micro has a strong team into cybersecurity. I can see each speaker is complementing the other speaker as a team. It is what required for an organization to secure against cyber attack. You have the whole range of portfolios of solutions to secure the enterprises. Thank you very much, Himanshu. Now we'll move on to hear the presentation of Suhas Kashyap, who is a consultant cybersecurity in Ingram Micro. Welcome, Suhas.
Thanks, Deepak, and good morning, everyone. So far, we have looked at prevention, detection, and mitigation through the use of technology and assessment. Now, let us look at the long-term solution to prevent and respond to digital frauds. As an organization, we did our best. All the security controls are in place. We have mitigated all the detected vulnerabilities, but still, we are hit by a fraud. So this is where uh, the prevention technology, which also is very important, is taking care of your network and your endpoints, but still there is something which still got through and you are infected. This is where managed security services as a portfolio comes in to your aid and rescue. So one thing that we have to understand is this is a long-term commitment and this is something which needs to be done day in and day out. Now let us look at some of the fraud detection techniques and the corresponding technology solutions that we have from a managed security standpoint. And we'll see how it can prevent the digital frauds from happening. And also, in case there is a digital fraud, how we can recover quickly. So first is detecting and patching vulnerabilities. We must realize that securing ourselves against possible frauds is not a one-time activity, as I mentioned. This needs to be done on a day-to-day basis. While the organizations exist to do business, security is also of paramount importance to them. While you can comfortably do your business, we can take care of your managed security services, ensuring that your systems are protected and patched and are free from vulnerability on a day-to-day basis. So having less vulnerabilities in the system means that there is less room for a cyber attacker to get through. And this is where digital fraud can be prevented pretty easily. Detecting suspicious behaviors on endpoint. Whenever someone compromises your system, one of the goal of an attacker is to be undetected for as long as possible. This is achieved by establishing a foothold in an environment, then moving laterally. So they focus on remaining undetected by a large spectrum of security controls. So as the controls mature over time, so do the attackers. They use sophisticated techniques to evade detection and compromise system. Now, one challenging technology that you can pose to any attacker is endpoint detection and response. So this is something which is touted as a future of antivirus. Now, traditionally, antivirus is designed primarily to facilitate prevention and detection of malicious code using a combination of signatures, heuristic analysis, which helps evolving every day. EDR, on other hand, performs two important roles. One is obviously the detection, the second one being the response that it provides or the ability that it provides for an incident responder where he can go ahead and mitigate this risk in real time. Now let us look at how end user awareness and behavioral analytics plays an important role in an organization being safe. Employees are the last line of defense and also one which can be compromised not from a technology perspective but from a human aspect. Strength of a chain always depends on the weakest link, and employees often tend to be this weak link. You might have all the best technical controls available in the market deployed in your environment. What if somebody who is authorized to have an access to the sensitive data goes ahead and shares this data because he was compromised with a social engineering attack? He might not be doing it willingly or he might be doing it willingly. So in this case, what is that you can do as an organization? This is where the end user awareness trainings plays an important role, where an employee who is more aware about the sensitivity of the data or who knows how to protect the organization from cyber threats and who knows what are the latest threat vectors in the market which exploit the vulnerabilities, that particular employee is more capable of protecting himself and the organization. Now let us consider the instance where a hacker has already gained access to an employee's credential. Now, most of the technical controls that you might have deployed, for them, it is almost impossible to detect if the action being performed is by the employee or by a hacker. So this is where end user and entity behavior analysis, UEBA, comes into play. The behavioral analytics looks at everything about a specific user, including what his network and application permissions are, when and where he logs in from, and what device he commonly uses. So this is where the behavioral based analytics comes into play, where an identity of an employee can be stolen and misused, but the behavior cannot be mimicked. Now, let us understand how log correlation plays an important role in fraud detection. Now, security professionals are in demand and they are flooded with an influx of alerts from all possible control systems that are deployed. And the pandemic is not making their life easy. Let us look at how security orchestration, automation, and response, SOAR, uses automation to reduce the workload for security personnels in terms of preventing cyber fraud. A critical aspect of dealing with cyber fraud is the time taken to respond. If an attack or if an attacker breaches your firewall or any other security control, half of his job is done. Now, most of the time, mere seconds can be decisive factor between an attack successfully evaded or a catastrophic cyber breach. SOAR provides an effective solution with respect to speed of response to an attack. SOAR carries out most of the security operations automatically by using an artificial intelligence and machine learning engine, which allows it to understand characteristics of a certain alert, and it can decide whether the alert poses an actual threat. Now, the person who is looking at this particular alert has a flexibility of having the SOAR do the analysis for him, and it saves a lot of time for him, and he can focus on the actual threat that is there. That is the best advantage of SOAR, that you can have a combination of SOAR doing everything for you automatically, or you can allow the SOAR to do most of the things while an analyst manually takes action on this. So this is where the robustness of SOAR technology comes in. This was our quick review of preventing, detecting, and mitigating digital frauds. With this, I would like to thank everyone and conclude the presentation.
Thank you, Suhas, for sharing a wonderful presentation. Today, I have learned about a new thing that is called SOAR technology. Okay, so I would say a person can secure himself again the cyber attacks. That is by increasing only the word awareness, awareness, awareness. So I'd like to thank all the team members of Ingram Micro, including Shantanu, Niloy, Siddharth, Himanshu, and Suhas, for sharing their vision to serve the industry. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Team Ingram Micro, for enlightening us and bringing in the state-of-art technologies into cybersecurity and protecting the growing enterprises, SMEs, and consumers in the country.